Oh man, I'm excited. We're gonna have a good show tonight. I put in a lot of work on these fucking lists.
Man, I was really frustrated with myself because we discussed it before the show, but I would like to bring it up now.
I please do.
You and I are huge sitcom guys. They might be my favorite thing in all of entertainment because it's easy, it's simple, it's funny, and it's enjoyable. I struggled with this one because I realized all of the sitcoms I always loved growing up, I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So watching or trying to recast these, like you put it perfectly, working as a casting director, we basically have to pull characters from everywhere, actors and actresses, because I don't know any of these young actresses by heart or actors by heart. I used to know all of Hollywood. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I haven't watched the Disney Channel since River stopped. And that's like 5-6 years now. So I don't know.
You know what's funny? I've never even watched the Disney Channel with my kids. Like when my nieces, when they were young, and like the Nickelodeons with all the iCarlys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, we watched a lot of Nickelodeon with the kids, and actually I think he's on one of my lists, like the Henry Danger and stuff like that. So It's kind of ironic that we're talking about it. You know me, my main medium is movies. It's always going to be, but sitcoms have always been a breath of fresh air for me. I'm a big proponent for, like, if you watch something that's heavy or something like that, you should watch something funny right afterwards. Balance yourself out, you know?
Yep.
And sitcoms have always been the go-to for that because honestly, I don't think you can go wrong.
You really can't, man. That's the joy with sitcoms is every single one of them will hit on something. Like let's use an example of like Hot in Cleveland. I did not love that show, but to throw on an episode, I didn't have to know anything about it. I never had to follow any storylines. I could put on and for 26 minutes, 24 minutes, be entertained. And that's really what I think it comes down to. That's the reason we all watch these moving pictures and have watched the stories since plays and sat around a freaking fire and told stories because we want to be entertained. And that's what I love about this style of program is the sitcom is fun.
And a really good sitcom is never boring.
Agreed.
You know, it will give you different things. It will never just give you comedy and that's it, because that will get boring. So you have to have your moments and stuff of real like connection.
Yep.
And that dates back. I think a lot of people think that's more of a newer concept. Clearly you've never seen shows like All in the Family or Maude where it's not just special episodes. They're dealing with, like, All in the Family had something like to say every episode.
Yep. They were a good microcosm of what's happening in society, what's happening with the world, what's happening with whatever country they take place in. Because Coupling, which was a fantastic BBC one that I loved, that was a hoot. It was their version of Friends.
Yeah, I remember when it first came out, and like they were like raving over it, and then Friends got announced.
Yeah, and it was like, well,
I got into it though. I never watched it, so I don't know much about it other than that.
It was worthwhile. It was just that same kind of like, but it was a lot of slice of life of Britain. So for me, it was kind of fun because I took it as like a learning experience. I was able to kind of learn about society over there. What's the norms, you know? And I also love that Friends, you know, showing off the coffee shop, because that was sort of the slight to get away from the bar, you know, that people weren't always going to the bar, and they weren't. The people watching at that time were not all barflies anymore. There was a distinct line in the 90s between barflies and the upper crust cultured folk who would go to coffee shops or go to bookstores or do other stuff. And we experienced that, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was a big shift. And, you know, especially with a show like that lasted so long, that kind of came on the heels of Cheers. Now, Frasier, for all its glory, being a spinoff and being a huge show, and I'm not taking anything away from it being a huge show, I would say the successor of Cheers, if not Seinfeld, is probably Friends. And I would argue that Friends got bigger than Seinfeld. Now, I think Seinfeld's a better show.
Agreed.
But I think a lot of shows are better than Friends personally, but I do understand the phenomenon that happened with it and how big it was. And that was the Cheers had on its side that it created the will they, won't they type of writing.
Right.
And not just created it, but perfected it, because they do it perfectly on that show. With the exception of the ending, but we can get into that later. That's personal preference. But you know, when Friends coming in and ushering, like you said, it was important, and it was a show that really did like hit the pop culture zeitgeist and really like and it changed sort of that vibe of like, it's not just about hanging out in bars and getting hammered.
Right.
Now you have shit's going down in our lives, and we have to deal with that all the time.
Yeah, because now it's annoying and frustrating, and I don't want to deal with that shit.
Well, on the coupling show, you said that was takes place in London.
Yes.
On that show, did one of them get married to did one of them get engaged to an American girl, and then they came to New York City and did a whole sightseeing 2 episodes, and then he said that he loved somebody else from London?
He didn't, but that would have been fantastic.
I can maybe in the London episode, in the British series, it wasn't great in the American. So,
no, it was not.
That was, remember when that happened? People were talking. That was water cooler. When he said the wrong name at his wedding.
Oh yeah, that was huge. That was epic, man. We had so many, but that was also the other thing, was that network television, cable TV. We all watched it. Everybody had the same 80 channels, and so we were all together. We all were on the same page. You know, as we were kind of prepping back and forth and discussing, you know, I went heavy on TGIF because that was something that brought everybody around the TV. That was something we could share every time around. Just after dinner on a Friday, enjoy your television, and then, you know, go do other stuff.
And there were multiple nights, and I was watching recently this, which kind of inspired this idea. They weren't doing anything like what we're going to do tonight, but I was watching like sort of like the rise of the Saturday night sitcom on NBC, the rise and fall.
Yeah.
And I remember because like Tuesday nights were big nights, but they were your more prolific sitcoms went on there, like the Roseannes were on there, stuff like that.
Frasier
really hit. Frasier, well, yeah, Frasier later on, but during the start of TGIF, this is like, or start of that Saturday, this is 1985 when they started that. Fair, that was Golden Girls. Golden Girls was the only show on the Saturday night lineup that started in the beginning and was there close to the end until it moved on to Golden Palace. It moving to CBS and becoming the Golden Palace is one of the things that kind of led to the demise of the Saturday night, because Empty Nest was doing well, but that went off the air. And then like they just couldn't drum up anything else. So after that, it kind of changed a little bit. But yeah, Tuesday nights were more like the Home Improvements, the Roseannes, you know, all that's news radio, stuff like that. And then Thursday was must-see TV, of course.
Yep.
Then Friday, ABC dominated with TGIF.
Yep.
And there were so many, those original shows.
Dude.
You know what?
So many. And they would cycle through. The only thing we really had on Saturday night was the transition into Snick. You know, where you wound up with all that, Kenan and Kel, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Real Monsters. Like, it was a rad lineup. Yeah,
for kids, you definitely, because the parents definitely had Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and whatever else they play, because there's always something like interchanging there. And then, of course, we had, like you're saying, with Snick. And then, of course, everything culminated at 10 p.m. with what? Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt, baby. If you had HBO, you were in there like swimwear.
It's so true.